Welcome back in to Exit 99 Sports. As always, I am Caleb Deloach, and I feel like I've said it every week. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the school year, into the season, end of all sports here for the high school season. I'm looking down at time of recording here, recording Sunday, May 11th. Belated Happy Mother's Day to all you watching, all the moms out there. We are down here really at the end of the season. We're done with several teams' entire seasons here in the Cape Jackson area. More will be wrapping up here this next week and over the next couple of weeks. We are just about done here. We're, looking at graduation coming up soon, stuff like that. So we are just about at the finish line on the high school sports season here in Southeast Missouri, but we still are playing some pretty big-time games. This past week was no exception. Some big-time baseball being played, and a lot of really, really good matchups around the area and various sports, postseason play. So, we're going to jump right in to this past week. We'll start Monday over on the baseball diamond at Kappa Hall. We finished the SEMO Conference Tournament over there. Great tournament, a wide open tournament was kind of the way I described it going in. I really thought it could have been an anybody's type of game situation. Jackson, Cape, Poplar Bluff, Sykeston, all been playing well, all had a chance to win games in my opinion. And, the championship day really kind of paid off the way you want it to. 7th place game, Kelly beat Kennett 3-1. In the consolation, Notre Dame did come up with a victory over Dexter 4-1 to finish with a win, so good job for the Bulldogs there. In 3rd place, Poplar Bluff beat Sykeston 3-2. And then in the championship game, we had a classic. Jackson and Cape faced off again, first round. Cape Central got Jackson. Walk-off over at Cape Central, I believe memory serves me correctly. But Cape got a walk-off win, their first go around, and so they were not able to get the sweep of the Indians. Jackson won 2-1 in 8 innings. Phenomenal pitcher's duel, great ball game. Tough defense being played, just pitchers laying it all on the line, pitching really, really well. For the Tigers, Chapman Ogles got the start. He went all 8 innings, so shout out to Chapman. A tough loss to take there, but pitched a heck of a ball game. 8 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 3 strikeouts. Did everything he really needed to do, just not enough coming off the bats, and that is due in large part to, I believe, the young man who got the MVP of the tournament, Cole Coburl over there, pitched 7 innings for the Indians, 2 hits, 2 walks, 12 strikeouts on the day. Just phenomenal work by both of those guys. On the mound, Keegan Palmer for Cape Central, kind of the leader on their side throughout the season on the mound and in the batter's box. He went 2 for 3, 1 RBI. For Jackson, they were scoreless until the 7th inning. Drew Parsons, I believe, hit one off of Ogles and beat out the play there, and Jackson scored a run to tie it in the 7th at 1, and then in the 8th inning, Matt Carter came through with an RBI double to win it for the Indians. So, heck of a ball game. The perfect way to close out, a very, very good tournament, a very competitive tournament. Like we talked about often, these were a bunch of evenly matched teams, and it showed out on, kind of how the games went. And a very, very fun ball game, big-time atmosphere, very competitive, and 2 really, really good teams facing off there in the championship, in my opinion. The other game here in Cape County was a massacre on Monday. Saxony beat Scott County Central 21-1, so absolutely absurd. Shout out to the Crusaders. I've said it a few times. When their offense gets going, it's disgusting. They've put up some huge numbers this year against some, evenly sized competition, we'll say. And then on Tuesday, they turn around, have a pitcher's duel for themselves. They knock off Woodland 2-1 on Tuesday. So nice win there, showing that they can, kind of be gritty, get the pitching to really dial in when they needed to, got just enough across the plate, come up with a 2-1 win. And then, Wednesday, Cape Central loses a tough one to Crothersville, 8-7. They kind of try to claw their way back into it. Not enough runway though. They lose 8-7 to a pretty good Crothersville Tigers team. Crothersville's been playing well throughout the season. They have some pretty good talent down there. So tough loss for the Tigers. You kind of wish that you were able to bounce back a little bit better after a tough emotional loss, but it's not surprising that that's kind of how it went. After the long weekend they had and kind of the emotional up and down weekend they had, playing really, really good competition and, playing rivals over here at Kappa Hall and at Cape Central. So they do drop that one 8-7. Jackson was playing Kirkwood on Wednesday. Game got postponed due to rain late in that one. I think it was 1-1 when it got postponed. It got picked back up on Friday. Jackson drops that one. I believe I read where Kirkwood won on an error, 3-2. They're late in the ball game. So tough loss for the Indians after, once again, a pretty good start to the week, beating Cape Central. Play I believe, district opponent up there at Kirkwood and are unable to come up with the close victory. However, they do bounce back here against local competition Kelly. On Thursday, the Indians won 6-2. Big rain delay in that one as well. It was like 45 minutes. But the Indians did what they needed to do. 6-2, solid margin. Bats got just enough. Peyton Kite had 2 RBIs in the ball game. And it was Ben Dombach who really came in, closed the door. He came out of the bullpen, I would say leading 3-2 at the time. He went 3 2/3 innings, only gave up 1 hit, struck out 6 guys. And he's done a good job all season long. He's been that guy out of the bullpen for the Indians. And he's been pretty consistent. Done a good job, not giving up cheap runs. His ERA has been around 2, so he's pitching really, really well, kind of showing what he is capable of out of the bullpen for Jackson. Over at Cape Central, high-scoring ball game. The Tigers lose 8-5 to conference opponent Poplar Bluff. Not a surprise per se. Poplar Bluff was the 1 seed in the SEMO Conference going into the tournament. Very good team for Poplar Bluff. Cape Central just not able to get enough outs in the ball game as they hit well. Different guys came through with hits. Palmer, McNew, Braden Mead had an RBI, I know. So a lot of different guys were showing productivity, but just not enough outs there for the Tigers. And then Saxony, once again, the bats come alive. They win 13-2 over Delta. Saxony's playing really well right now. They have had a great week and scored a boatload of runs, so playing really well. And then on Saturday, Cape kind of gets off the schneid there. They win 2-1 against a pretty good St. Pius team. St. Pius, always tough in every sport. Good private school. And so Cape, nice job kind of getting a victory there over St. Pius, tough squad on Saturday. And then Jackson hosted a couple of good teams over at their home field. They beat DeSmet in 10 innings in the first game of the day. It started out well for the Indians. I believe Peyton Kite had a 3-run home run, memory serves me correctly, there in the first inning, and then kind of let DeSmet get back into it slowly but surely. Go to extra innings, go to another one, go to another one, go to another one. Finally, Lance Wilson gets the walk-off single in the 10th inning, and the Indians come up victorious against a good Metro Catholic Conference team. Always nice to beat one of the big private schools from St. Louis, and they were able to do so. And then they played Graves County. Absolutely rocked Graves County, 10-0. So long bus ride from Kentucky to get beat 10-0. But shout out to the Indians for delivering that beatdown. And then, like I said, teams are playing pretty well. Cape Central continue to ride the roller coaster here a bit. They had a 9, 10, 11 game win streak. They got snapped in the championship game there at the SEMO Conference Tournament. And, kind of let the slide go for most of the week, but then they were able to stop it there on Saturday, so that's good to see. That championship for Jackson was the 7th in program history. Their 3rd, actually, in extra innings, which is kind of a crazy stat. But, the Indians lead the conference and championships now with 7, so big-time win there, and then playing well there, especially to close the week on Saturday. sweeping a doubleheader against two pretty good teams from pretty far away. So good week for the Indians. We'll see if they're able to carry it into this next week. However, we'll jump into some girls soccer on Monday. We had a couple of games. Jackson played Seckman. I believe they went up to Seckman. A traditionally pretty tough district opponent, a team that Jackson sees a lot, a team that's knocked Jackson out of the postseason a few times. I know at least back when I was in high school, there's a pretty big rivalry between Jackson's girls and Seckman's girls. Jackson wins that one 3-1. Pretty convincing victory. I think if I remember right, the Seckman goal came late in the ball game. Lily Conrad, Riley Monaghan, Rudy Klund all got the goals there. Assist by Maya Domian. Shout out to her. Just recently signed with SEMO. Rudy Klund and Riley Monaghan also exchanged assists and goals there as well. So Indian soccer, as you expect, playing well, kind of rounding into postseason form here late into the season. And Saxony, big win by a touchdown over North County, 7-0. So nice win for the Crusaders. They had a good week here. Cape on Monday, they got to play Carbondale. And I was pretty impressed to see them come up with a victory there, 2-1 over the Terriers. Nice win for the Tigers. Like I said, they've been playing well. They started really slow, but it feels like they kind of played themselves into form, into shape here. And they've had a pretty good season, all things considered. On Tuesday, Notre Dame also got to host somewhat, Southeast Missouri rival, you can say, in Perryville. The Pirates came down. Notre Dame knocked them off 2-0. So Notre Dame continues to play well going into the postseason. And Wednesday, Jackson played a tough opponent up there in Perryville, or from Perryville, St. Vincent. It was a very physical game. There were a million fouls. And, I saw in the paper, Coach Beesink said this is a good style to face here right before the postseason, right at the end of the year. Just kind of seeing that physicality, a couple of teams really going at each other. I know there was at least one yellow card picked up in the ball game. Rachel Berger, though, another multi-sport athlete for the Indians. She's the hero in that one, getting the game winner in the 68th minute, I believe. Big-time goal there. Big opportunity for her. Somebody I haven't seen, whose name hasn't been in the scoring column much this season. Kind of just had a ball bounce to her, right place, right time. She put it in and gave her team the victory, 1-0 over a good St. Vincent team. St. Vincent, obviously a small school, but a lot of talent and a really, really good season. They've played a lot of big schools, and they've been knocking off a lot of them. So it's a nice win for the Indians. And on Friday, Saxony, kind of a crosstown rivalry here, got the better of Cape Central, 4-1, and kind of have those local bragging rights now. Saxony kind of, like I said, pushing their way ahead here late in the season. Offense really getting going, 11 goals this week in 2 ball games over bigger schools, North County, Cape Central. So kind of where you want to be right now if you are the Crusaders. And then that does it for soccer. What I was going to mention was we'll go to golf next. There's the biggest note is anything that was supposed to be this past week, with the exception of Class 3. We'll get there. Like the Class 5 District 1 tournament Jackson was supposed to be playing in. It was going to be Thursday. Got postponed to Monday, to today, presumably, when you're listening to this. So be on the lookout for those results. However, Notre Dame did get to play in their Class 3 District 1 tournament. I'll pull up those results real quick. On the team side of things, Notre Dame comes in third. Dexter was first, scoring at 312. And St. James shot 324. Notre Dame was one stroke behind at 325. Notre Dame, unfortunately, looks like one spot out of the qualifying for state. One stroke out from qualifying for state. So, brutal break, unfortunately, there for the Bulldogs. However, they had some individuals play pretty well. Coming in at 5th place, Max LeGrand was the highest highest scoring individual, the lowest scoring individual, highest finishing individual for Notre Dame. Words. He shot a 77, so he'll be qualifying as an individual. So will McMullen shot a 79. Shively shot an 80. Let's see if anybody else. And so those are the 3 qualifiers for the Bulldogs. Thomas Schumacher was down there at shot an 89. Trenton Schumacher, anybody else in there? Let's see. Schaefer shot a 90. So a pretty good tournament for the Bulldogs. Like I said, just brutal. Just coming up one stroke short of qualifying your team to go to state, but they do get 3 individuals to go. So shout out to those guys. Best of luck at state. And we will definitely keep our eyes open for that here coming up soon. And like I said, there was some weather, really kind of made things difficult for everybody else. So expect to see all those tournaments coming up this next week for the rest of the golf world around this area. In the land of tennis, we had district team tournaments this past week. On Monday, Jackson was in Class 3, District 1. They faced off against Lindbergh. Dropped that one 5-0, so the Indians were eliminated on Monday. But a good season for Jackson. You know, they played well throughout the year. They did a good job, competing against a lot of other local teams in the area. They took it to a lot of very, very good squads. I'd say the class of the area for most of the season would be considered Poplar Bluff and Notre Dame. And the Indians played well when they did get those matchups against those guys. Jackson finishes 9-3 as a team, only losses to Eureka, Bluff, and then Lindbergh there in the district tournament. Like I said, they played Bluff, lost 4-5. They beat Notre Dame 5-4. They played Melville, won that 7-2. Decent St. Louis squad. Went to Festus, won easily. So yeah, good season for Jackson. Good individual showings throughout the year. But yeah, their season is coming to an end there in districts. And then Cape and Notre Dame were in Class 2, District 1. First round, or their first matchup, Cape defeated Festus 5-0. So nice job there by Cape Central, kind of taking care of business. And then Notre Dame upset by Farmington 5-4. The Knights beat Notre Dame. I looked up the stat previously. They had played, or Notre Dame had won 9 straight games against Farmington up to that point, at least, team matches against Farmington. So a massive, massive upset there in Class 2, District 1. Cape advanced, but they went on to lose to Poplar Bluff, who, kind of the favorite maybe, or right up there, neck and neck with Notre Dame throughout the season. But Cape faced Poplar Bluff, lost that 2-5. So their season comes to an end as well. All 3 schools, very, very good years. Notre Dame finishes 7-3 as a team. They played, like I said, some very competitive matchups. They did well, have some very good individuals that are still alive. And so a good season as a team for Notre Dame. But yeah, the team game does come to a close for them. And then the Tigers come to a close at 7-7. So competitive year for Cape Central. They were kind of in that second class of teams around Southeast Missouri, maybe a little bit behind Jackson, Notre Dame, Poplar Bluff, but a very, very good season for the Tigers does come to a close as well. And that's where we're at this time of year. We're wrapping up seasons. Golf coming to an end. Tennis is now at an end for all these guys. So a lot of, seasons, a lot of careers coming to an end for a lot of these kids. So pretty wild to see, but that's where we're at here. May 11th right now as I'm talking to you. So we will advance to, what have I talked about? Just talked about tennis. We'll talk about some boys volleyball. A surprising past week of results. I'll start chronologically. Saxony took on Father McGivney out of Glen Carbon. They won 2-0. On Tuesday, Notre Dame and Saxony squared off. Big-time local rivalry, I guess you could say. The only 2 teams in Southeast Missouri with boys volleyball. Kind of cool for those 2 schools being the flag bearers for the area. And those 2 faced off. Notre Dame won convincingly, swept Saxony 3-0 on Tuesday. Wednesday, Notre Dame bounced back, played St. Pius. The 10th won that 3-1. And on Thursday, like I said before, I think last week, St. Pius loves this area so much, playing every sport against every team we got. They played Saxony as well, and they knocked off Saxony this time 3-1. So got the better of Saxony after losing to Notre Dame. However, Class 1, District 1 tournament started on the 9th of this past week. What was that, Friday? And it was, you got Saxony, you got Notre Dame in the same district there together. And, maybe the biggest surprise of all there. Step back here. Saxony had to play in the first round. They beat Sekman 3-0, swept them. And so that set up a semifinal matchup between Notre Dame and Saxony. Notre Dame, obviously, like I said, heavy favorite. They swept Saxony earlier in the week. And so you kind of expected a similar result there. But no, it went 5. Saxony with an incredible victory, picking up the going 5 sets, winning 3-2 over Notre Dame. Let's see what it went. It was 26-24, 17-25 Notre Dame, 20-25 Notre Dame, and then Saxony tied it back up 25-18. And the fifth and final set, Saxony won 15-9. So the Crusaders keep marching on. Even though they do sit below 500 at the moment, they will be taking on St. Pius, who they did just lose to. Lost 3-1. I believe they played them. Yeah, they played them earlier in the season. Lost that one 3-1. So, you can definitely say that, St. Pius definitive favorites here in this ball game, but the same could have been said the other day and did not matter. So it will be St. Pius and Saxony in the district title game this Monday. It says it will be at Notre Dame in Cape. So, anybody that's listening, as long as this gets out before, no pressure on myself. As long as this gets out ahead of time, get over there, go check that game out. Super exciting stuff. Big time moment there for Saxony. A chance to win a district title over a pretty good St. Pius team here in Cape Girardeau. So, shout out to Saxony. Big win. Once again, season comes to an end. On the flip side, though, for Notre Dame, a good year for the Bulldogs. Like I said, they were the definitive favorites in the district, in my opinion. They just beat St. Pius, who is in the championship game, and now it's over for them. 19-10 final record for the Bulldogs. Good season. They came up with nice wins. They played some big schools in St. Louis. They won at Borgia. They beat St. Dominic. They played well against Saxony a couple of times, beat them this year. Beat several teams from Illinois. They had a good year, but that's how it goes this time of year. Winning, you're done, or winning, you're in, losing, you're out. And they do come up just short in 5 sets, losing to Saxony. So congrats to Saxony, and sorry to see you go, Notre Dame. That does it for volleyball. I think the last thing I have to talk about, track and field this past week. Before we get to the district meets we had Saturday. On Friday, Jackson and Cape went up to Hillsborough. Not a ton of super high finishes. Let's see throughout, the boys' side running. I'll just quickly scroll through here, see the notable results here for Cape or Jackson. In the 800, Nate Meisner, Aiden Ebalski both come in top 4. They finished 3-4. Nate was below 2, 158.87 is a good time for him. Aiden right at 2 even. So good finishes for those two guys in the 800. And that's a couple of guys have been very, very consistent throughout the season. Ebalski and Meisner have been running really, really well. In the high jump, I guess, be the next notable finisher for the Indians. Ryan Larry comes in 5th, jumping 1.8. Yeah, a relatively quiet meet on the boys' side, obviously. When you want to talk about jumps, the man who jumps with the pole in hand, Kit Sheridan, doing what he does best, just easily defeating the field. 4.32 meters. Ho-hum day for him, well below his PR. Picks up an easy victory once again. I'm just ready to see him get into the postseason, see what he can do, see how far he can advance, and if he can make some noise, maybe pick up another medal up at state. Then Mason Turley from Jackson does come in 5th in the pole vault, going 4.04. meters. And then another bright spot has been some of the throwing events for Cape and Jackson. For the discus, Zykel Hall gets second for Cape Central. He throws 48.82. Bryson Wessel of Jackson comes in fifth. Gavin Shin comes in seventh. And then in the shot put, another guy like Kent Sheridan, who's just been rolling through local competition. Isaiah Husky, easy first place finish, 16.74. The big throw for the junior Husky. And then Zykel Hall, the man coming second in the discus, gets second in the shot put as well, 15.75. Nice throw for Zykel. Getting up there, getting close to 16. So that's a big time throw for Hall. Gavin Shin of Jackson does come in seventh there in the discus. On the girls' side, Cape Central has the fastest girl here in the Cape Jackson area, Taraji Riley, only a freshman. Went up to Hillsboro, won the 100 meters in 12.18 seconds. So she's running really, really well right now. She looked good at the conference meet, coming in just a hair behind who was it, Bills, I think, of New Madrid. So she's running really well right now, Riley, that is. In the 200, high finisher there, Jesse Iwuchukwu comes in fifth place, the freshman from Notre Dame, running 26.96, just ahead of Sheralea Jackson from Central. In the 400, it was Grayson Maurer of Notre Dame. She got fifth place, 102.57. Highest finisher here in the area. The 800 meters, Emma Nibalski comes in second from Jackson, 2:23. Then Michaela Drum comes in fifth at 2:27. In the 1600, Lily Coy of Notre Dame comes in second there, 5:26. Good running there. And then another person you expect to see up in the medal stand quite often, Martina Russell comes in second in the 3200, running 11:17. Behind a blazing 10:58 from a girl from Jorge Zoo. So good running by Russell. Annika Barks from Jackson comes in fourth place to score some points there as well. For the Indians, 300 hurdles, Maya Farrar of Cape Central runs 48.21, coming in third. 4x100 meters, Cape Central been really, really well in the sprint relays this year. They get first in 48.7 seconds. Massive win. They won by 1.2 seconds over the next relay team. They get second in the 4x200 behind John Burrows in 144. Nobody coming too high in the 4x4, but 4x8, the Indians win of Jackson, 10:04. They win by over 5 seconds in the 4x8. So a big-time win for Jackson there. In the long jump, Taraji Riley back again. The freshman gets second, 5.28 meters. Brooklyn Williams of Jackson comes in third, just behind her. In the triple jump, Grayson Maurer, doing a little bit of everything for the Bulldogs in this meet. She jumps 10.77 to come in second in the triple. Pole vault, Amelia Fox, the freshman Indian, jumps 3.1 meters to get third. And then somebody who's been just throwing phenomenally well here throughout the season, especially as of late, Emerson Gross. She gets first in the discus by over a meter, throwing 38.84. She also got, I believe, third. Yeah, third in the shot put, right at 11 meters. Behind a couple of throwers from MICDS and Festus. They were all within 0.2 meters of each other. So competitive throw in there. And then Katarina Ellefson from Jackson, the junior, gets second in the javelin by about a half a meter. So a good meet overall for all teams involved. Some girls from Notre Dame, Cape, Jackson, boys and girls. So competitive meet there. And then a couple other teams in the area were in the district meet. Saxony in Class 2, Notre Dame in Class 3. We will just jump in here. We'll start with Class 2. We will look on the boys' side of things. In the 100 meters, it's like Kai McDowell was the high finisher. I believe I have this pulled up. Easier to read here on my phone. So as a reminder, if you don't know, so You start in districts, you advance from districts to sectionals, and from sectionals to the state meet. So if you are competing at districts, you got to come in the top 4, individual or relay races. Top 4 finishers go to sectionals. Top 4 finishers at sectionals go to state. So as far as people advancing from Saxony, or we'll just go through here. Boys side, Kai McDowell comes in 11th. 200 meters, Matt Chambliss 11th. Theodore Tracy 23rd. 400 meter, we got our first qualifier for sectionals. Maxim Mayhew runs 52.39, coming in second in the 400. He'll be advancing. Kai McDowell just short, 55 seconds, comes in 6th. In the 800, Chambliss and Shupp finished 9 and 10 for Saxony. In the 16, Chambliss and Ritchie finish in 5th and 6th. Ritchie and Hitt come in 8th and 9th in the 3200. Then we get Nashawn Davis, SEMO Conference champion. Gets second in the 110 hurdles. He'll be advancing. Jonas Hohenadel. Haven't read that name before, Jonas. My bad. Comes in 7th in the 300 meters. 4x4 gets 6. 4x8 gets 6. In the long jump, Clark Jones will be advancing. He gets 4th place. In the pole vault, Jacob Shupp will be advancing. He gets 4th place. Discus, Beery and Baker come in 17th and 19th. Javelin, Jones and Beery get 9th and 19th. And shot put, Beery and Denny get 16th and 19th. So on the boys' side, Shupp in the pole vault, Jones in the long jump, Davis in the hurdles, Mayhew in the 400 are all going on to sectionals. Girls' side, though, for Saxony, we'll be advancing quite a few more athletes. So stick with me here. 200 meters, Tamora Criddle gets 8th. 400, Williamson gets 8th. In the 800 meters, Maya Roth will be qualifying. She gets 4th place. In the 16, Myra Roth, Myra comes around and gets 3rd, so she'll be advancing there. Adeline Brandhorst comes in 6th. From the 32, Brandhorst ran the double. She will advance, getting 4th place in the 3200. In the 110 hurdles, Abigail Haley gets 2nd. So she'll be advancing. Sadie Elmore gets 8th. In the 300, Haley going to be doing a double. She gets 3rd there, so she'll be advancing in both the 100 and 300 hurdles. Relay teams, they will all be advancing, it looks like. 4x1 got 3rd. 4x2 got 2nd. 4x4 got 4th. And the 4x8 got 3rd. So people are going to be very, very busy running relays there for the Crusaders. In the long jump, Rayleigh Matthews gets 2nd. Rebecca Young gets 7th. So Matthews will be advancing. In the pole vault, Casey Hall got 1st. Sarah Seaball got 3rd. In the discus, Perkins gets 10th. Roth gets 14th. Javelin, Rebecca Young gets 1st. And then Maget gets 11th. And then the shot put, Call gets 6th. Roth gets 12th. So that sets up Maya Roth doing a double in the 800 and the 16. Brandhorst advances in the 3200. Abigail Haley advances in the 100 and 300 hurdles. And then all the 4x1, 2, 4, and 8 relay teams will all advance. Rayleigh Matthews in the long jump. Casey Hall and Sarah Seaball in the pole vault. And Rebecca Young in the javelin. All moving on. So, big time meet there for the Crusaders, especially on the girls' side. They perform really, really well. But a few guys going through as well. Like I said, Nashawn Davis has been hurdling well all season. So we'll see what he is able to do once he goes up to the sectional level. I'm excited to see if he's able to keep it rolling. So we can jump up now to the Class 3. We'll start on the boys' side. So this is Notre Dame. Once again, top 4 will be advancing. I'll just quickly try to say names as I see them here. Braden Robert comes in just short, finishing 5th in the 100 meters. Nobody will be going through from Notre Dame in the 2 or the 4. Aiden Stegmeyer gets 7th there in the 400, running 56.21. In the 800, Givens comes in 8th from Notre Dame. In the 1600, a couple of guys have been running well all season long. Aiden Morris gets 2nd. Jackson Jones get 3rd, both coming in right at 4:53. In the 3200, just do it again. Morris and Jones, but this time they get first and second, running 10:20 and 10:33 respectively. In the 110 hurdles, another guy who's been performing really well all season, Trenton Powell, he comes in first, and Sam Carr comes in third. Powell at 15:92. And then in the 300 hurdles, Powell will be advancing along with Carr. Powell gets first again. Carr is fourth in the 300 hurdles. 4x1, Notre Dame comes in second. 4x2, Notre Dame is first. 4x4, Notre Dame is third. And in the 4x8, Notre Dame is third. So I'm going to be busy on the relay side of things as well for the boys of Notre Dame. We get into the jumps. Looks like nobody advancing for Notre Dame, but in pole vault, Ellis Bruni comes in first, 3.66 meters. For him, Jeffrey Keck gets fourth, 3.2 meters. In the throws, by the way, Kevin Thompson, just phenomenal season in the discus for Kennett. He gets first there. Nobody in the throws advancing for the Bulldogs. So over on the girls' side, the two phenomenal runners, if you've been keeping up with kind of local track going on around here, Maya Bills, Oranji Jackson, and New Madrid, they come in first and second. So definitely a couple people to keep an eye on when it comes to the state meet. They get first, second in the 100 and the 200. So big-time performances out of them. So over there on the boys' side of things there for Notre Dame, they got several people going through to sectionals. So it's very exciting. Going to see how they do once they get up to sectionals. It will not be easy by any means, but it's exciting to kind of see some local athletes getting through up to, up into the postseason here in track and field. So that concludes all this past week. We can kind of quickly go through what we got coming up this week. Busy slate in baseball. Monday, a lot of games. Cape goes to Marion. That'll be a tough game for Cape Central. Marion's been playing well. I think they've already knocked off Jackson and Notre Dame, if memory serves. So Notre Dame will be going to Festus, and then Saxony will be taking a tough trip down to Chaffee. Very, very, very good Chaffee team. They've been very tough all season long. Tuesday, another busy slate. Jackson will go on the road to CBC, so a tough Metro Catholic Conference opponent again. And then we got a big in-town rivalry here. Cape goes to Notre Dame Tuesday. So hope to see a lot of people out there. Go check it out. I will be in attendance, barring the weather being bad, obviously. We can just say that about all spring sports here. Cape at Notre Dame should be a good one. And then Saxony will be hosting Puxico. And that is, I believe, their last regular season game. It'll be at 4:30 for the Crusaders. On Wednesday, Jackson will be hosting Kennett in a SEMO Conference little rivalry there. Cape will be hosting DeSoto on Thursday the 15th. And Cape will be hosting Oakville Saturday, May 17th. And also Saturday, we have officially hit postseason play in the Cape Jackson area as it pertains to baseball. It'll be Saxony. They'll be starting their district run. They'll be taking on a Kelly team who's been solid throughout the season. They have some good talent. I keep mentioning them every time. Ross Peters is a very, very good player. And so they are in Class 3 District 2, which is a beast of a district because you share a district with 23-2 Scott City and 17-5 East Prairie. Some very, very good teams. Saxony is the 5 seed. They'll be playing Kelly, like I mentioned, and the game will be at Kelly, so it doesn't make it any easier. So Saxony taking on Kelly at Kelly on noon on the 17th. So go check it out. Go get out there and root on the Crusaders as they try to see if they can pull off a couple of upsets here in postseason play. Over on the girls' side, we're at the end. We're here at the very, very end of the season. Jackson will be hosting Sykeston Monday, presumably today, for their last regular season game. So there's a SEMO Conference rivalry there to close out the season. Notre Dame will be hosting Farmington. When they turn around, we got another a busy day over at Notre Dame, where Cape is going there to take on the Bulldogs, another crosstown rivalry. If I'm picking a winner in that one, I'm going to probably lean toward Notre Dame. And then Saxony will be hosting Perryville. A little bit of a good game there, I think. That should be pretty competitive. Perryville's pretty tough. But being at Saxony, I'll get the Crusaders a little bit of an edge. We'll see. And then we get to start jumping into district play. This weekend, I will pull up the exact bracket here. But we get into some district play for, every team here in the area this upcoming weekend. We will be getting in to the districts. Let's pull up some seeding, some brackets. I'll start with Jackson. They're in Class 4, District 1. They're the 3 seed. And on the 17th, so that is trusty calendar app, just so I'm not making things up. Saturday, Jackson will be playing Seckman, and it will be at 4 p.m., and that will be played at Narix Hall in Webster Groves, Missouri. So up in St. Louis, kind of southwest of the city. So get up there if you can, 4 p.m. It's on a Saturday, though, so a little bit more accessible than some of the times we got whenever me and Cody were calling games during basketball season. Should be a good matchup. Jackson 13-3 right now. Seckman 7-9. I believe Jackson this past week just beat Seckman 3-1. So should be a competitive game as always. Postseason, it's going to be tough. It's going to be physical. These are two teams, like I said, that have faced each other many times in the postseason. So I'm excited for that. Excited to see how it goes. And Jackson, the 3 seed, if they advance, they might be. You could potentially be seeing a true road game playing Narix Hall at Narix Hall theoretically, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But big time opportunity for the Indians, pick up a win there in district play. And we'll drop down to Class 3 District 1s where you find Notre Dame and Cape Central. And this tournament will be taking place, I believe, at Cape Central. So this weekend, if you're not doing one of the half dozen other sports activities, or if you are free and if the weather is nice, also, I'm a fair weather fan here in the area. If the sun's out, I will potentially be making an appearance early there at Cape Central, as Notre Dame got the 1 seed. They'll be taking on the 8 seed Farmington at 10 a.m. Early start, 10 a.m. This Saturday. So Notre Dame, heavy favorites there, in my opinion. They're 7-6, but they played a heck of a schedule. Farmington, bad this year. They're 3-12. As these teams have not. Oh yeah, they are playing each other. So quick back-to-back there. 2 games against Farmington in 1 week for the Bulldogs. Kind of a weird dynamic. So let's say, Notre Dame goes and beats Farmington this week on Monday by 4 goals, 5 goals. You just cannot let yourself relax and then, let them hang around here once it gets to district play. Because, like we said, you lose 1 game in district play, you're done. Season's over. So you got to be bringing your A game at all time. But I'm sure Notre Dame will be doing that. They have a lot of experience in the postseason. Very, very good, very proud program over there. And then Cape Central will be the second game of the day. They'll be taking on Sikeston. So should be an interesting matchup between those two. If memory serves, Cape did beat Sikeston. They did at home 2-0 earlier in the season. Still, I would say it's pretty evenly matched ball game. Sikeston sits as a 7-10-1. Cape sits at 5-8. Tigers, though, 4-2 at home. So definitely a good opportunity to get a victory. And then if Cape wins, if Notre Dame wins, they will be facing each other on the 19th. So a little bit into the future here, but they'll be facing each other on the 19th there at Cape Central. So winners play on the 19th at Cape Central. That game will be at 5 p.m. So the 19th would be Monday. And then the championship is the 21st, a Wednesday at 6 p.m. So there you have it. And then we'll drop down, find the Saxony Lutheran Crusaders. They are in Class 2, District 1. They got the 5 seed in a pretty tough, pretty competitive district, honestly. St. Pius is first. They're 13-3. You got St. Vincent, who's 14-3. Windsor, Perryville, and then Saxony. And behind them is DeSoto, Bayless, Fredericktown. So that puts Saxony at the 5, which is a tough spot. They got to play Perryville. Once again, a weird situation where you are playing Perryville in back-to-back games. You're playing on the 13th, and you play again on the 19th. That's when Saxony will be playing. They don't come in to play until the 19th at 6:30 against Perryville. That ball game will be at DeSoto. So a little bit of a drive, kind of out into the woods, but not too crazy by any means. So, yeah, that's where we're at. I believe that's everybody when you talk about there. So, this upcoming weekend, we kind of get ready to go into district play for soccer. So, once again, win and you're still alive, lose and the season's over with. So, high stakes officially for all the teams here in the Cape Jackson area. Then I mentioned earlier on the golf course Monday, Jackson will be in the Class 5 District 1 tournament. Cape will be in Class 4 District 1. Saxony will be in Class 2 District 1. Now, I will tell you where those are taking place here in about 5 seconds. Class 2 District 1 for Saxony will be up at Festus, Crystal Highlands Golf Course. Let's go jump all the way up to Class 5 District 1 will be at Crescent Farms Golf Club, Crescent, Missouri. Do your own research. Don't ask me where that's at. Crown Point Golf Club will be hosting Class 4 District 1 up in Farmington. So not too long of a drive for Cape Central. So that'll be positive there for them. So we're there officially for everybody now in golf. We are in the postseason. So interested to see where people kind of fall in at. Jackson's been playing well. They've had a lot of kids. Jimmy Williams has been playing really, really well. Lambert, Earnhardt, all guys that have been shooting pretty low scores as of late. So excited to see if they can continue that on. As I mentioned earlier, jumping into boys volleyball here, Saxony will be taking on St. Pius at Notre Dame here Monday. And, yeah, big opportunity for Saxony. A chance to, like I said, maybe get to a point in the postseason where not a lot of people expected them to be. I definitely, if you were asking, I was heavily leaning Notre Dame to win that district and, beat Saxony convincingly. But, Saxony went over to the 1 seed, beat them in 5 sets, keeping alive until Monday here. Saxony will be taking on St. Pius X, 6 p.m. Get out there. It'll be a good one at Notre Dame. Best of luck to the Crusaders. Hoping for you guys to pull off the upset and continue on this little bit of a Cinderella run you guys got going. That does it for volleyball, obviously. And then track and field. You've got district meets coming up this weekend. I know, let me pull this up here. Class 5 District 1 meet for Jackson and Cape will be at Farmington. You will have... let me check here. Fox, Lindbergh, Melville, Northwest, Oakville, Poplar Bluff, and Seckman all competing there as well. Should be interesting. So a lot of the usual suspects, I think, should be advancing to sectionals for the Indians. Blaine Reagan will advance in any race he runs in. Barrett Reagan, don't know the health situation there. Hopefully he's all right. Get to see him maybe run a couple of races as well. He should be advancing. Poplar Bluff has some very, very talented runners, though. They have very good runners in the 100, 200, 400. They have the best hurdler in the area. So they will be very, very tough to beat in a lot of races. Girls' side, Jackson has some good chance to move people on in some of the mid-distance, long-distance races. Pole vault will be competitive. Kent Sheridan for the Tigers, I expect to be advancing. Taraji Riley, I assume, to make some noise. Brooklyn Williams for Jackson, I assume, to make some noise. Maybe in sprints and jumps for sure. So, yeah, it'll be exciting. It'll be at Farmington. I probably won't be making that trip, but I'll be keeping up. Usually on, for those who don't know, you look up website Mo, all one word here, Mo, M-O, milesplit.com. And for a lot of these meets that go on throughout the state, there will be live updates throughout them. So a cool resource definitely to check out. If you're unable to make the trip, they'll presumably, like I said, it's, big time meet here. They'll have the ability to kind of keep you updated throughout, let you know how people are doing, and they usually get the results in pretty quickly. So should be a good one to keep an eye on there. And then it looks like also this Saturday. So the way I think this is playing out, if you noticed earlier, I skipped saying anything about Notre Dame girls in Class 3 District 1. I think, so the boys are in Class 3 District 1, but I think the Notre Dame girls are in Class 4 District 1. This show is not, you don't watch it live per se, but you're watching this information just hit my brain here live and in person. So Notre Dame will be running this Saturday as well on the girls' side in Class 4 District 1, and that will be hosted by Notre Dame. So should be a good meet. Looks like we have Corey Zoo, who's competitive, Festus, Hillsborough, Sykeston, Vianney. So it should be a pretty good meet, and it's going to be hosted over there at Notre Dame. So that'd be very, very cool. Class 4 District 1. Go check out the girls. And it looks like Class 3 District 1 sectional also says it's being hosted by Notre Dame. So this is all according to Mo Mile Split. Don't shoot the messenger here. The Class 3 Sectional 1 will be over there at Notre Dame. Should be interesting. I don't know how they're going to have all these people going at the same time. I don't know what times things are going to be starting per se. I haven't dug that deeply into it totally at the moment. But should be a good one. Should be very competitive. So excited to see where people land. I've mentioned a few times Aiden Morris is kind of my guy from Notre Dame. I think he's going to be performing well. I think he has a chance to go deep into the postseason, make some noise at state. And excited to see where he goes. Trenton Powell's been running really, really well in the hurdles. So that should be very, very fun as well. So, all right. Well, that pretty much does it, I think. Anything else I have random? No, I just saw on SEMO Ball, 3 kids from Notre Dame signed letters of intent to play at the next level for baseball. So to shout out them, Lawson Mills going to Three Rivers, Channing Pattengill's going to Southeastern Illinois, and Jack Cozine's going to Benedictine. So shout out to all of them. Speaking of Benedictine, I saw Camden Brockmeyer from Jackson got an offer, his first offer to play football there. Also very cool as well. Very, very good football program. Yeah, that does it for me. Once again, spring sports, anything can happen due to rain and all that stuff being outside. Go out. This is one of your last weeks, one of your last opportunities to go see some of these teams play, go see some of these individuals, show off. You can say the time and effort they put in to competing at the highest level. These kids take what they do very seriously. They practice a lot. They've been practicing for years and years and years. So go check it out. As always, like I say, I do this just as a conduit to hopefully get more eyeballs on the incredible athletes that are the ones really doing all the hard work. I just get to sit here in this little room and talk about it. So I have a fun job. I enjoy doing this. So thank you all for listening and watching. If you do appreciate what I do at all, I love if you guys would like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook. Like I said, subscribe to the YouTube. Whatever you're listening on right now, subscribe, follow on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast at. We will be there. So once again, thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. It's been another fun week, and we are getting even closer and closer and closer here to the end of the season and end of the year. So thank you all for watching. We will see you and listen to you in the next one.